Welcome to another edition of TyTek Talks. I'm Matt Eccles, Marketing Director here at TyTek Industries. We've got a really attractive proposition for you today. We're going to be discussing magnets, and I'm really pleased and delighted to welcome the company president, Chris Tyler. And if this man doesn't know about magnetics, it's not worth knowing. Chris, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
I just wondered, very simply, straight off the bat, if you can tell me what the difference is between a rare earth and a ferrite magnet.
We have 10 minutes? Impossible. But let me try and put it into a really sort of compressed version. Ferrite has been around, of course, a long time. Most of us grew up only knowing ferrite magnets. So the horseshoes that we had at school and picked up paper clips and so on, and that was a magnet. That was a ferrite magnet. Ferrite, for people that don't realize, is nothing more than rust. It's actually the byproduct of the steel manufacturing business when they roll steel. Rust is on the outside of the billet. They put it in the hydrochloric acid, the rust falls off. You put it into something called a calciner with another chemical at high heat, and basically it becomes suddenly, instead of the brown-red rust, it becomes a black powder. Needs grinding and so on, but now you have a ferrite powder which you can now cast or press or in a sintering process, and you get a ferrite magnet. Now, ferrite magnets can only be energized, and here we get into something else that requires another episode, but it can only be energized up to a maximum of ceramic 8, for example, grade, which is a high-grade ferrite, up to, say, 5 MgO, mega Gauss Ørsted. Don't worry about that. That's the simple way of measuring the energy of a given off by a magnet. So they can get up to 5. Now, the thing is that we've used those ferrite magnets for many years, and up to the 70s, and including the 70s, they were what were used in motors for all sorts of things, anything, because you need magnets to drive an electric motor. But come the early 70s, actually, I think it was the Nixon administration who brought out the new CAFE regulations, which basically said we need to get more miles per gallon out of vehicles. And so all the automotive companies looked at how do we get the mileage up, and they thought we need to get the weight down. So you open the hood of any vehicle, they happen to choose for their work pickup truck, and you see this large chunk of iron with these huge ferrite magnets on the outside, because you need large magnets to get a good energy, to get the torque to start an engine. So if you can shrink the size of that or take the weight out of it, you're automatically going to get more miles per gallon. And work was started to find an alternative magnetic material, both in the United States and simultaneously, as it happens in Japan. And both parties, both sides, came to a material that was called a rare earth magnet, and specifically a blend of materials that are better known today as neodymium iron boron magnets. That basically took the starter motor from this to sort of this. Obviously, the weight down and the CAFE regulations were met. Moving from there, of course, it then allows you to do a lot of more miniature type products, which were very much in vogue and still are. The development, therefore, of rare earth magnets was exponential. It's just all over the world. Everybody needed them. But the basic difference is cost as well. You've got a very large magnet in a ferrite to get that energy. Yeah. The cost of the raw material is very low compared to the cost of rare earth magnets, and we're talking, cents up to, say, $1, whereas in rare earth magnets, you're talking probably $2,000-3,000 a pound.
Right.
So it's a way difference. And the choice that you have to make if you're needing a magnet is, what do I need? Do I need something small where I get a lot of energy, or can I get away with and live with something that's larger that gives me enough energy?
Yeah.
And I think today we have a problem that was certainly there in the 80s when the development of neodymium was in full chat, as it were, where people thought at the time, I want the best magnet, I want the strongest magnet. No, you don't. You want a magnet that does what you need it to do. Don't think it's marketable to say, I've got the strongest magnet.
Yeah.
The stronger you can get, and I mentioned getting up to MgO5, but we're going way up in 60, 70 and so forth. We're talking about magnets that go into MRI machines and so on. These magnets are dangerous and dangerous to handle. And people who say, oh, just give me the strongest magnet, often, realize rather too late that it's very difficult to assemble them into things when they're so strong, and handling them can be a problem. So we today, again, are saying, think about what you need, think about the energy you need, look at the space you've got in terms of your product, and then decide. And if you can use a ferrite magnet, of which a lot of people are, and there's no shortage of people selling and making ferrite magnets, use a ferrite magnet. But if you've got to go higher, then you're going to go into the world of rare earth. Now you're moving into a new world, not just because this is a product that is relatively new from the 70s, 80s, but into, unfortunately, a world of geopolitical storms. And the reason for that is basically 90% of the world's rare earth magnets, and let's be specific here because rare earths include samarium cobalt and a lot of other types, but we're talking about neodymium here, which is most likely what most customers will need for their product. They're controlled by China, and China basically has the technology and is now the only producer of these alloys. And there are 2 or 3 major producers in China who do actually a very good job. Their quality is very good. They produce product under license from Hitachi in Japan and another, and basically come up with the raw material that is good for making magnets, whether you press them or mold them or whatever. So the difference between the two, given you, I think the important thing to note again, and I would stress, is if you're going to use a magnet, don't just automatically think rare earth. Think in terms of what you need as the energy product. And then you'll be all right. And if you can get away with ferrite, great. If you're into having to do neodymium, you're going to need some help. And that's where we can help. And that's what we do.
And we guide you through that whole process.
We guide you through the process and help you with the magnetic design in terms of the makeup of the magnet. Unfortunately, again, a political situation, but China in 2025 prohibited 7 rare earths. And I'm talking rare earths, and I don't know, a lot of people don't realize, they think rare earths actually are extremely rare. They're actually not rare. They're in rocks in different parts of the world, but difficult to extract from the rock, difficult to separate. And the art is doing that. And it's not a great environmental sort of pleasing manufacturing process, but the companies that are doing that, they're mainly obviously in China, and
as are we.
Yeah, as always. So they've prohibited 7 of the, I think, 15 rare earths that lie in the atomic table between number 57 and 71. So there's 15, out of those 15, 7 are prohibited because they go into things that could be military-based and so forth.
Which again brings us back to the geopolitical.
It does indeed. So if you've got a magnet, or we have clients who've been buying magnets that have an element of those 7, we've had to design out the ones that are problematic from or prohibited, and we've done so successfully, and therefore we've got round the situation without creating any issues.
Perfect. Chris, I've learnt so much, and I'm sure the audience has too. We're going to stop it there and talk more in other episodes, because magnetics, as you've already demonstrated, there's so much to cover. And if you want to get in pole position, you can download our essential guide to magnets at our website, tytekindustries.com. And Chris will be back with me on another edition of TyTek Talks. Thank you.